Yeah. So, in this issue, you kind of highlighted some of the issues with some of the uses of AI being banned in schools.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you maybe some of your opinions about this. I kind of want to play a
Mm-hmm.
devil's advocate more in these kind of like podcasts because I feel like for me and you, it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like we're preaching to the choir a little bit. Me and you are very much
Right.
more on the same page, so I kind of want to take the opposite stance and kind of give like a
Mm-hmm.
more of like a back and forth conversation about what we can actually you know uh what maybe the opposite end of the other people are going to be kind of like thinking about. So um you know if AI is really lowering content um is lowering content knowledge and critical thinking, at what point
Mm-hmm.
would you say some users should be banned? What point would you say some uses should be banned in schools, and what crosses that line for you?
Yeah. That's okay. I think I heard you there, cutting in and out a little bit, but you know, the word banned is a difficult one. I'm not a huge fan of that word in education. Because if you work with young people, if you ban something, it just basically says, go try and do it. I mean, that's what their young minds hear. They're risk takers. That's part of how their brain works at that age. So I don't like using the word ban. I do think with like any technology that you bring into the classroom and that you incorporate into the learning process, there should be some guidance about places that it can function well and some areas where um, maybe it can't function as well in terms of supporting deep and meaningful learning. So, obviously, if you're trying to teach a young person how to use the written word to communicate their thinking, I would not advise using a single prompt source to generate long form writing and have students attach their name to it and claim that that's their original writing. That to me would be an area where I don't think we should be using AI. But in terms of going through the process of composing a piece of written work, I think that AI can definitely be a partner in that, whether that's brainstorming topics, whether that's generating a sample topic sentence or a closing sentence, or for soliciting feedback on a piece of writing, or even possibly structuring an outline for this an essay or for a piece of writing. Those are some examples of how I think AI can be used and, in fact, can help support critical thinking skills for the student. So, um, yeah, I mean, I think I would just go back with being careful with the word like banning because you can't ban anything, right? I mean, students back in the day used to go buy essays online or there's people who used to sell literal like stapled four piece paper essays like to people and so yeah, it's hard to like really technically ban anything, but I think we can be mindful about how to guide deep and meaningful learning.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think you kind of alluded to this a little bit in the end, towards the end of your the that newsletter, where you say the schools can feel a little bit transactional, right? If schools were to adopt, say a school was to adopt a AI first type of learning strategy, how do you think they would fit into the mold or the testing that is currently there now? Like, do you think that they would place just as well as the students who are doing that kind of thing on the regular, or do you think that would actually help, like, maybe even hinder their ability to do that types of transactional regurgitation or assessments, I should say?
Well, okay, yeah, let's kind of pull this apart here because there's a few factors here. this term AI, artificial intelligence, it encompasses a wide variety of technologies, right? And I could spout my opinion. Um, we're still starting to generate actual data because what you're asking is a question that we need data to answer. We need studies to answer, and we haven't had schools that are operating, quote AI first until recently. Some early indications, either anecdotally or through, I would say, not scientifically sound research. Like some of the evidence is pretty promising. If you look at Alpha School, for example, that is a clear AI first school. If you are asking students to learn standardized content, um, meaning like fact-based algorithmic information, um, and you are using a learning tool that runs on a AI generated algorithm to either generate test questions, to provide feedback, to be responsive via this AI algorithm to improve the test questions to guide the student towards um, higher facility. And I think the problem is people are jumping too quickly to either that means we shouldn't be using this or that means we should only be using this. Because I think when we look at school as being transactional, we're essentially using a 6, 7, 8 hour learning day, school day, to solely do what a school like Alpha School is realizing can be done in a couple hours a day. So in that case, I think it does have a role. You need factual information, you need content knowledge about certain topics to explore them in more depth. If you're going to do a project on building a solar battery, you're going to need to know terminology, battery components, science of chemistry, so on and so forth. And if you can use AI to kind of fast track that learning process into a 1 to 2 hour window, then yeah, that should be used. And that to me is where like we have to rethink these whole systems of learning, because not only is AI affecting how students learn, AI is affecting on how we work, and those two things are going to work together to really have us rethink our the ways students learn, because that other model is like really a thing of the past. The challenge is, how do we do this?
Right. I really love the way that you put that.
Well, so what inspired this issue was the AI study that Lego Institute released. And it's super cool. It's a real kids first, kids led AI study. They really just went and talked to kids, you can tell. And I mean, just in the look and feel of it, I think it really does signal like it's a very approachable document. It's in like the text boxes, that's AI. When they watch Netflix and it prompts another show, that's AI. So I think they're already using it, and of course as adults, like, we can contextualize some of this and like help guide young people towards like safer decisions when we try and like break down like how they're using it or what it can be used for. Like, we can turn to them because they've already been using it, and they've already been making the decisions that we're trying to build policy around. When we talk about like, oh, what should the policy be to determine if something is an AI generated video or not, like, they've already been flipping through Instagram, being exposed to AI videos, and I guarantee if you were to put an AI video in front of a 12-year-old and a 42-year-old, the 12-year-old's going to be way, way better at identifying what makes it AI. Like, just talk to the kids, and you can totally tell that's AI. Like, they're attuned to what AI slop looks like. They're attuned to what they like about it, what they don't like about it. So I just appreciated this study that it like really kind of flipped the paradigm on its head, um, and like really asked kids to provide feedback. And obviously one of the some of the key stats are like 83% of the kids said adults make all the decisions about AI in school. 65% of kids feel like they're left out of the AI conversation. 50% of kids are not asked their opinions about what to talk about with AI. So it's like there's obviously a pretty big disconnect here when, we're like, this is different. It's not like alcohol where like, oh no, let the kids drink alcohol and then have them tell us what they do or don't like about it. Like, it's not what, obviously I'm not just some person that's like Lord of the Flies here. It's just the nature of the situation. We gave them the phones. We gave them Instagram accounts. We did all that, They didn't have choice or agency in that. So now we need to listen to them and have them give us input and insights into what they're experiencing.
You know, I'm curious, if the kids were put in charge of AI policy at their schools, or say their classroom, like what types of policies do you think they would put into place?
Yeah, I've done that activity with them, like had them sketch out like do's or don'ts with AI. I feel like the number one thing they kind of gravitated towards was like, don't assign us stuff where we would want to use AI.
Interesting.
Like, if you're gonna assign us boring assignments that we can just use AI, then like we're gonna use AI. Like, don't you know what I mean? Don't assign us dumb stuff, and then we'll give us opportunities to like work together. They love collaborating. They love collaborating. But I've been in education 15 years. I'm not like an old school vet here. But I definitely jumped in right when like iPads and mobile devices and social media was becoming the norm, and it's really gravitated students towards collaborative learning. And so they like figuring things out together. And when I say collaborating, like the AI, the chat is part of that collaboration. They love offloading like simple tasks onto AI, and they're pretty good at it. I think they still need some guidance and training. Like how they prompt that like text generation machine could use some improvement. And then on the backside, there still needs to be some more guidance around critical thinking, to analyze what's produced and what and why you need to revise and remove and rewrite. But I noticed a lot higher engagement on that end versus just opening Gmail and staring at it. Like, they will literally stare at a blank Gmail forever. They do struggle with that sometimes, what to say, or left to their own devices, they kind of treat an email like a text, which is, they need to learn different writing for different formats. But I have noticed that they are pretty clear about wanting to learn and wanting to learn together and want to do interesting things, and that they have a pretty decent sense when they're given those opportunities about where AI can fit in to that process.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think I can kind of see that right now, where you know the temptation to use AI to make a 10-page paper is more is very alluring at this point. And I feel like that's the same with AI now. Like, you gotta really put it into kids' hands and just really see what they can create. And obviously, they're gonna have their tendencies to do, exactly what you're saying. They're gonna have not the most robust way of prompting and doing maybe just not the best type of reviews on it, but it's a learning process for them, and I think that's where they are going to be separated from this generation of people now. You know what I mean? You don't have to be a software
Mm.
developer to know how to make a specialized solution for your problem, and AI kind of fills
Mm.
that gap in, right? Comparing that
Yeah.
to someone who is against AI or who doesn't know about AI, right? I think that's like where the that's where the gap is going to be for especially employment. Like people who
Yeah.
can create their
Yeah.
own solutions for their own problems
Yeah.
on the job, like that's
Yeah.
going to set you apart from other people who don't know how to use these things,